All right, guys. It is the 2nd of March, 2023. We're looking at EU. We've got 1 hour on my left, got 1 hour drawings on my left, 1 hour drawings on my right-hand side. For anyone who's not familiar with how I have my chart set up, excuse me, I have my buy-side drawings on the left, I have my sell-side drawings on the right, and that's how I keep my screen. So this is my what I consider to be the higher time frame outlook. And let's go and get into it. I'm currently running one short trade. I'm expecting to break a structure down below here, and I think it's best that we talk about what's going on and talk about my entry, which is a little bit different to what I would usually do. So I've woken up to the screen to see this right here, this mitigation. Excuse me. Okay, so let's make this bigger and let's go. Okay, so rather interestingly, we've got a sell primary that has formed. Okay, and a sell primary range is a range that's gone over the top of a range that went range, initiation, break of structure. Okay, let's find that structural break. Here's the structural break. Ugh. Let me try and read it out properly here. Okay, so we're looking over here. Here's the structure. Okay. So they've gone range, initiation, break of structure. This is the structure that's been taken out. And then this range comes up over the top of it, taking the liquidity away from them and breaking on itself. Okay. And by breaking on itself, I mean this low here. So this was the new range that's been formed. Now, this range does not get activated until it takes out swing structure, which is down here. And that's where what I believe it's threatening to do. Now, as price is threatening to do that and trying to activate this one here, the same thing is going on with this sell primary here. We've got this range, higher time frame range, initiation, took liquidity away from this range over here and broke on itself, meaning it took out the low here. However, it did not take out swing structure yet. So we're trying to activate this and we're trying to activate this. However, right? Keep your eyes peeled because here's another range, right? Initiation, break of structure right here. I believe actually maybe this was the structural break we're using on this one. Then this range comes out over the top, breaks on itself, and then breaks major structure. Now this one's tight, okay? And that doesn't matter at all, right? This one is tight because if you see here, well, actually we'll make this nice and big so we can all see it. Here's that first range, right? That broke structure right there. And then price came in, popped down to this point, slams up over it, takes all that liquidity, breaks down, breaks on itself, and then breaks major swing structure right there. So as soon as that happens there, this is activated and this is playable. And what happens is this range becomes the range that holds price. Are we seeing that? Seeing that on the chart here, we're seeing that this range is what's holding price. Now, so this is an activated range. This is absolute playable. This is all absolute gold. Now, holding price. It's holding price. Okay. Now this new formation occurs, right? So now we've got this new sell primary come in. Again, we've got this range initiation. The break of structure comes in, breaks on itself at the bottom here, but can't break major swing structure yet because it's just too far away. We're trying to break it, right? We're trying to make it form. But what is amazing or what absolutely beautiful about this one is that it forms a sell primary within a sell primary. So even though this is not activated, this one right here is activated, right? And here's why. Range, initiation, break of structure, comes in over the top, breaks on itself, and then breaks structure at the bottom. The moment it breaks structure over here at the bottom, breaks structure on itself, this becomes activated, right? So this is an activated range. Now you can just forget this malarkey, right? Just forget all of this crap in here, just for a second. This is all valid. This is all very important. There's lots of shit going on. But if we just remove our eyes from this and pretend that never happened, right? Look what where price comes up. It's come back up. What does it mitigate? Right in here, the last known range on that sell primary. Yeah, that's activated. So we've got an activated sell primary. It's reacting out of that last known range. And actually, I beg your pardon, it's not reacting out of the last known range. It went just above it. As we can see here, it went just above that range. See how this is the last known range and it went just above it? What does that mean? Anyone who's been watching my videos lately should know that is a deep mitigation. A deep mitigation is something we'd expect to have a fast reaction away, right? And what are we experiencing? So we got a deep mitigation, and then all of a sudden we've got this breakdown of price and momentum, right? And momentum is picking up. This looks like a one-way direction to me to take out this low. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm actually looking at taking out this low for my trade, but I believe it will take out swing low, right? That's what I'm expecting based upon what I'm seeing. I have no idea whether it will work out or not. Obviously, no one does except for those who are moving price in this marketplace. So that's my bias on sells, right? Right now, we've deep mitigated a sell primary. We've got a sell primary higher time frame one that hasn't activated. We've got a second one that hasn't activated, and yet we're still able to trade off of the ones that are activated. Like for instance, this it was activated. Sell primaries are holding price, and now we're threatening to put in a higher time frame sell primary again that will connect into here. Now, do I think that that is a form of stacking? Yes, absolutely, I do. I do think this is a liquidity creation event. I am expecting the breaking structure though, because I'm expecting those to activate so that we can have a deeper reaction from them, right? Which is adding more further cause. See, if they're unactivated, if the ranges don't take out swing structure, then the stop losses are not moving, right? The higher time frame stop losses are not moving, and therefore it's the money that isn't getting stacked into this area like they might be wanting, right? Or it could be that they're trying to do this in a way that is stacking liquidity here, but they don't need it to be activated. They don't need this breaking structure down here. They're going to be playing off of this range, for instance, right? And then shooting price up. We don't know. We have no clue really, but we do have a clue, but we're just educated guessing based on what we've seen before is what we're doing. So deep mitigation, initiating away. I get to the screen somewhere in all this, somewhere in all of that, right? And so now we can jump to our lower time frame. We don't really need to look at the buy side drawings. We do and we don't, right? So there's just one event that's significant here. We've got this buy primary that's formed, it's broken structure, it's activated, it's all the rest of it. We identified this one range in here as being the last known range that we'd expect to have a reaction. We did have a reaction, but it couldn't even break structure. And then that range has been taken out. And it's for that reason why, because it's been taken out, one of two things is happening. This is either going to be a deep mitigation, like right now, and price is going to zip up and basically try to take out liquidity from here, or price is just going to continue to break down. I don't expect, personally, a reaction from in here that's going to come up and over, taking liquidity before it shoots down, holding price up here. I'm not expecting that. The reason I'm not expecting that is there's nothing left to hold us, right? That I can see at least. There could be a lower time frame thing in here. We'd have to have a little look at that. But as far as I can see, that was the last known range that we should have had. And we expect explosive reaction, but it couldn't even take out any kind of structure. So it's for that reason I am bias is shorts, at least to break structure down below this level that I've drawn right here. That's my bias. Okay. Now we should also bear in mind that there could be things that could be transitional, things like through here, and then would be looking at, what are we sort of mitigating? Maybe it stops here, maybe they stop price right there, and then we'd have to sort of look through, just sort of look through to where they stop, and then, oh look, we're actually in a buy primary, right? Of course, and so then we could look left even further, go through this transitional, and then looking sort of over here, is there any buy primaries in there? So that's really how we'd be having to do it if they do stop prices here and shoot up. But again, just based on what I can see on the current price action, based on this view right here, is that this low is likely to get taken. Okay. So let's jump to our lower time frame, and we can see my trade of the day right here. You can see where I'm at, what's currently happening, and we can see sort of what I was thinking as far as like the buys. So let's go into the buys first, clear that up, gives us liberty to talk about that sell, and I am live running it right now. Okay, so the first thing I do every morning is, as soon as I get to my charts, I do my higher time frame first. I see where we've gone, what's happening. I look at that deep mitigation, for instance, right? I'm on the higher time frame screen right now. Now I'm back to lower time frame. This is my 1 minute screen, and I'm looking at my buy side drawings. Okay, so I look on the screen, and the first thing I'm looking at is this kind of thing here. This buy primary that's been put in. I'm looking for a break of structure. Is it activated? All the rest of it, right? And so that's the first thing I see is this buy primary, and I start drawing on all my drawings, because I want to see where my buy primaries are. Are they connecting? Where do they exist? What's going on? And so here's a buy primary that formed, and then we got this little range in here, range initiation, break of structure. They came down, took liquidity from below it, and then started initiating away. Now, as soon as it became a break in structure up here, it's activated, right? So it broke on itself and then broke major swing structure, which was, I conclude it to be there, that level there. And so this is a fully activated and playable buy primary. Now, you and I both are not privileged to know if we're going to continue buying from this point, or if we are going to reverse and short, right? We don't know that at this point in time when we're here. So, is this a valid OB? Can we play this OB? Is it something we should be looking at? Should we be looking at the shorts, since we've been shorting a lot lately? This, to me, is valid, right? So we've come out of. Let's talk about this. We're coming out of a higher time frame buy primary at the last known range that we absolutely love. Not slipstream, but we're into the last known range that we absolutely love and know that they typically will create a big reaction from. So as we're in that kind of reaction, the first thing we're looking for is buy primaries. Do we create a buy primary? And so if you're creating a buy primary, you're at absolute liberty to play that. And so realistically, I should be looking for longs, right? From this range here. This is either going to be liquidity or it's going to be relevant. We don't know just yet until we sort of see how price action responds. And so for me, I'm looking at this last known range in here, and I'm looking to see how we react. What is the reaction look like? So let me get this. This doesn't look drawn on as well as I would like. I must have drawn it on from a 15 seconds. I'm pretty sure it did. But this is typically how I'd want this to be drawn on. And I want to draw it on perfectly for you guys, right? So there it is. So A to B, B to C leg up there, and this is the last known range. So I'm expecting this to hold. Now, I could just place an order like this and look to go long, right? Now, that's my trade idea. That's what I'm kind of potentially thinking in my head at this moment in time, right? Before price has broken through and whipped through this level. I'm totally thinking this is the trade idea. But what do I need? I need an initiation to get me involved. I need something to tell me that, hey, this is where we want to initiate out from, and this is what we're doing. And so an initiation for me looks like a liquidity grab, right? From both directions. It would look like it would come up, take liquidity from the high side. Let's say there's a range here, right? With the stacking up like this. It would take liquidity from this side. It would then take liquidity from the south side of things, right? Mitigating what you want it to mitigate, the order block in question, and then breaking through that slipstream right here with a break in structure, right? That is a very good, solid setup that works a lot of the time if you're trading out of a buy primary. And so a lot of people might be able to see the entry modal that I have, but won't be able to trade it because it occurs so freaking often. And you're absolutely right; it does occur often. But let's see. It never formed to you. See how what are we grabbing here when price zipped up like this? Nothing. There was no liquidity grab. What about in here? Well, did we range initiate break of structure? Here's the range. Here's the initiation down to this point. Where's the break in structure? It doesn't exist. So even though there is liquidity here, it's shitty liquidity. It's liquidity that really isn't there. On this 1 minute chart here, we do have a range right here, right? A range initiation break of structure. And what actually occurs is this comes over the top, so it does take liquidity from that range, breaks down itself, but then doesn't ever give us the opportunity. So let's draw this out so we're clear on what I'm talking about. I didn't even see this one. It's too small of a range at the time for me to be looking for. I'm looking for something like this kind of thing. Remember, I'm on a 1 minute chart, and I'm looking for something a little more substantial. Okay, so range initiation. Let's do the boss. Break the structure. This is the range that kicks in up and over the top of it, takes the liquidity, and forms a sell primary, right? Now, this could be an entry initiation if price was to stay inside of this box. Let me show you which box I'm talking about. Let's just do that as a primary. There it is. So if price was to hold within this area here, this would have been an entry modal for me, right? If I'd have gotten the break-in structure and everything else, because it would have been a little bit like this is what it would have looked like, right? We would have been looking for a break-in structure somewhere. Where's structure? Here's structure. I can see. Looks like structure here. Maybe at the top is the structure, but on a 15-second, maybe we could take this as structure. You could potentially take this as structure because it's an inside bar as well. And if we pop down to 15 seconds, it's going to look much better as structure. So there it is. So we could have maybe even taken that, right? But we didn't get the break-in structure, nor did we get it, nor did price hold inside of this box. Now, why is it important for it to hold inside of this lighter blue color? And let me tell you why. Let me tell you from my perspective why. Because of this. If this is a sell primary and it's forming, what do we need to activate it? Break-in structure, break-in swing structure, major structure. This to me is a break-in major structure right there. Well, you're thinking, well, why isn't it not this leg here? And this is very important stuff. This is very important stuff. If you measure the range from A to B, you see the 50%. 50% is this middle line right in here. This range here, A to B, has already concluded itself. It has already come back to at least 50% and initiated away. Okay, that means to me that this A to this B leg has concluded forming, and so this is the new leg, A to B, right? And so if we measure this one, this is concluded as well, this range here. And so what about this one? Can we measure? And this one's concluded as well. So we've got in this whole upward push, we could draw it. Let's leave it drawn on just for a sec. So in this higher time frame range that went from here to here, right? From A to here to B to here, it created three ranges: range 1, range 2, and range 3. And so those ranges are very, very important to us because they can represent your swing structure. Swing structure low, swing structure low, swing structure low. So as you're looking for breaks of structure, this is a way in which you can start reading the market, is by measuring your range moves and seeing as soon as they conclude themselves by coming back to that 50% mark, you've now got a swing structure. And that can be helpful for all of our analysis, right? So that's why I'm not interested in taking this trade, right? It was an almost setup that wasn't a setup. It just didn't come back. We didn't get the break of structure. They took out this low, and it is what it is, So now we've got this lovely, lovely sell primary that's formed. Are we noticing anything here? Soon as this self primary formed, and again, I didn't even notice this on its own at the time, but as soon as this sell primary had formed, it held price. Notice how this little range in here kicked up. It just held price from that moment onwards, and so that was an important moment to have, right? So there was that built, and that was the reason we weren't interested in the longs from this buy primary. You can also, and I know I'm talking about a lot about this one primary, and we're probably more interested in the trade idea or the trade I'm in. But it's important because this is a fully activated buy primary, and we're trying to save ourselves, right? Save ourselves money. We don't want to just blindly take an entry just because it's a buy primary. We definitely don't want to be doing that. We want to be taking entries out of. We do want to be taking entries out of buy primaries, but we want to wait until there's confirmation, wait until there's a signal that yes, this primary is actually one that's going to hold. And when we get that, then you're in fluid talks with the market, and you'll feel like an absolute god because you're putting in some of the best trades you could ever do. Looks like I'm about to get taken out here, unfortunately, right? So we've got this strong aggressive zip up, and so I'm already gone. There it goes. It's already taken me out. Not sure why my phone hasn't binged off, but suffice to say, the Cayman took liquidity. Is what it is. Not that worried about it. So now let's talk about this trade, why I'm in it, why I entered there. It was at break even, obviously, but let's talk about like why we're in it, why we're interested in that trade, and how we got to that moment in time. Okay, so going back to the higher time frame look right now, I'm pulling up my cells. Deep mitigation, initiation away. This is the last known range, right? This is the last known higher time frame range that I can spot. And what it is, it's a range initiation breaker structure. Okay, so range initiation, there's a structural break. And so I'm interested in higher time frame points of interest, right? And this ticks all the boxes. It's a beautiful pause point before a structural break. And so even though it's not a primary range, I'm definitely interested in playing it, because if I'm only going to play primaries, then I'm going to have to wait for a high time frame primary to come back into, which would be this one that we've already sort of worked our way out of. And I can't see anything else on this movement down that kind of tells me this is a new primary that's formed. And so we have to look at points of interest if we want to get involved. And so this is the point of interest that I spot on my higher time frame, right? And so there's that. Now we go back to the lower time frame, and let's copy and paste that over. So there's that range that we're very, very interested in. What happens after that? Okay. So remember, I want to play off primaries, right? So what the hell happens after we mitigate this box here? We form a lower time frame sell primary, right? So there it is, lower time frame sell primary with the most recent range. Now, if price can work its way up to this point right here, I'm going to be very, very interested. And so we just need to look at that. So let's just, sorry, my phone's beeping off. It's about other stuff, just regular text and stuff like that. But so we've mitigated that high time frame point of interest, and we've created a sell primary. The primary broke on itself here. Here's the range initiation. Here's another range initiation. They stack money. We take the money. They break on themselves, and here's major structure, right? Again, why can I use this one and not this one? I can use either, but I like this one more because if we measure A to B, have we come back to 50? Absolutely, we've come back to 50. And same thing on this, A to B, right? So we know that in this range there's multiple mini ranges, but here's one big one, A to B, and here's the second one, A to B. And so I can totally take this as a swing structure break structure. Hope that makes sense. Like if not, just maybe repeat the video or something like that. But study ranges for yourself, like as well. Like I came to these conclusions by myself. It wasn't like no one's taught this crap to me. You have to study it yourself and find out why. Study ranges for a whole month. Look at ranges. Go on a monthly chart, and if you're on the EU monthly chart, go and measure every single range. Think about what a range means. Does it mean a break in structure? Is it a tail? Is it a wick? Is it the body? Start playing around with your range tool and start realizing what a range is for yourself. Study it in as much detail as you feel comfortable. That's what I did. Right. So Keep it on the minute chart. Keep it on the minute chart. Okay. So we've got this mitigation right here. We understand the mitigation, higher time frame point of interest, and then we've broken here, broken again down here. So we're pushing down. So this is now fully activated, but it hasn't had a retest, right? So that's awesome. So now let's clean up the chart. Now we've got a new sell primary form within that sell primary, right? Range, initiate. You see this range here? The break-in structure was actually at 15 seconds. Let's go down to 15 seconds just to demonstrate this one. My chart's getting a bit laggy. So range initiation, here's that structure. For anyone who's wondering, comes back to 50%. Actually does it. Let's look at this one. It should have done. I didn't measure this. It was just by my eyeballs. Ugh. Okay, so this actually wasn't what I would conclude a... Well, let's see. What's going on? Let's talk about structure. There I am banging on about structures, you guys, like giving you like a lesson and shit, and yet I took it on a break like this. So anyway, I did take it. It wasn't a 50%. This one, this was an A to B. This would have been the swing structure to have been looking for, but I took it on this one, which I think is valid anyway. In this instance, because it's such a lower time frame thing, I don't think it really matters. And look at the design of this range initiation. You can expect that to have broken something, right? There's that breaking structure. Comes back up over the top, takes liquidity. There's liquidity, stops, mitigates something, and pumps back down, forming a primary range, right? So what I would be most interested in on this range right here, if we're thinking price is going to zip back up into this area, is what on earth do you mitigate, my friend? And so as we look to the left of our chart, we know that this is a transitional, but it's because it's inside of a primary, it doesn't matter all that much. And we can see we just mitigated this range. There was nothing special about this range. It's not like a sell primary, it's not a buy primary, it's just a range. And so you could look a little further left just to try and understand things. And now you could say, well, actually we mitigated a buy primary last known range, right? So actually now the significance makes sense, right? So as we're trying to understand where we're mitigating, why we're mitigating, it's number one, it's transitional, meaning we're going to put dollar signs right up here, right? This will become liquidity at some point. Yes, it's transitional, but we can absolutely play off of it and expect this to hold because it is inside a sell primary, number one. And number two, it mitigated something primary. And so in this case, it actually mitigated, what was it? It mitigated a sell primary, didn't it, right? A to B break structure. So it's the most valid mitigation of all, really, this one right here. Absolutely the best. So when you make a sell primary, oh, this is actually gold. We need to talk about this more. That one mitigation that we're looking at right now, we really need to talk about it. So we've got this range in here, right? That ticked all the boxes, broke structure, everything, tick, tick, tick. Here was that range, right? They wanted to come up into this area here, but we had a sell primary that broke structure, which was valid, and they worked their way through it. And then we form another sell primary. They work their way through it, and on the way down, they mitigate through price into that sell primary that was formed a little while before. That, my friends, is gold right there. If you can identify shit like that regularly, you're going to be very, very successful because this right here, and if you can see what you mitigate here and understand it, remember all of this is wick, right? When you're rapidly moving price in one direction, I mean, this is obviously wick, but this here is wick. This is a 30-second chart, right? This is price just moving through. A mitigation is time spent in and around a certain price. It's not this, and it's not this either. Just that one little tiny thing. It's a lot of transacting in and around that price point. And so Now we've let's just clean that up. There we go. And so now we've identified that we're in a cell primary. We're forming a cell primary, and before that cell primary has even formed, a new cell primary has formed, and they've mitigated this, the cell primary from before. Boom. Shorts are playing out. Trust in that process. So as price is whittling its way down, right? I see all of this. I'm waiting to get in. I'm expecting like a reaction. I want price to come back to kind of this level here. And sure enough, it does at this point there. We get like a reaction, but I'm still not getting my entry modal. I'm not really seeing what it is I want to see to get me into the market. And it's at that point when we come down, let me get these all aligned here so we can see everything that's going on. Right? So here we are working our way down. We've got this buy primary formed, and its price is pushing down. I haven't had my entry modal at all. I haven't had like something that's telling me to enter. And we get down to this point here, and it's over here, and we mitigate. We push up. Right? We push up from this mitigation out of here. We cannot break structure. See how I've got a break of structure written on the buy side of my charts here? Price never comes up to break structure. And so because of the mitigation, no break of structure, and it comes back down to on itself. It was the moment that we did not get that break of structure that it told me everything I needed to know. We are not in the buys. We are in the sells, right? We've got now confirmed everything that we're selling off. And so this entry, unfortunately, I got slippage. I actually wanted it more, I think it was along the lines of this, because let's go to 15 seconds. Because what I saw was a range initiation break structure, and it's right here. Because I'm following intention. Okay, so following from that intention, it was the buy side that's initiated up that couldn't break structure. Right here's that structure, couldn't break it, couldn't get up, and starts to reverse. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if we're long, that was it deep mitigation? It was regular mitigation. We should be breaking structures. Is the message really here? We should be coming up to break the structure. And look how high you came up to structural break, and you couldn't do it. And instead, what you did was you ranged. I'm talking about the market here. You ranged, you initiated, you broke structure, you had IPA, everything. It's a bit like a sign that BFI is stepping in, right? Isn't that what that is? And so I see the mitigation. So I actually wanted to enter right like that. That's exactly where I wanted my entry, and I think I had a limit set right there. And then I had to hustle because I saw this go right there. And the moment I saw it stop right there, create a little doji, I knew what was up, because I went, oh shit, they're not coming back for this range. They're playing that range as the mitigation. So now it looks a little bit more like this is the range. The range, the initiation, the break instruction on itself. Where are we coming to mitigate? We're coming to here to mitigate. So I'm scrambling. I try and get my entry, and I get some slippage. And by the time I clicked sell, I think it was something around, where was it, like that. It looked ugly, put it that way. But I held in, and I got a nice little sort of 5-hour movement out of it. Sure enough, they bobbed back up to mitigate, taking liquidity from this range now, and they're threatening to push prices lower again. Whether or not that will play out, we'll need to see. So what would I be doing right now in this moment if, for example, we're still trading, it's 10:49 a.m. PST, which is a bit late. I wouldn't really want to be trading anymore at this hour. That's why I'm doing the video. But what would I want to be doing, right? This is always a fun thing to talk about. Well, I'd want to be looking for, where are we mitigating, where are we pushing away, right? That's the first thing. So I can identify here range, initiation, stack some money on top, right? Looks a bit like that. But does that mean it's a primary range? No. Are we creating a primary range? Potentially, right? So is this going to become a new sell primary that takes liquidity from over here? Well, if it is, we're going to be looking for, first of all, we know that between this B and this C leg, they're going to create something if this is the case. If this is the mitigation, then we know that between this B and this C leg, they are going to create something that we're going to be playing off in the future. And more often than not, it is not a liquidity grab, right? We've seen that they do that. They do make double sell primaries, like they'll make this higher time frame sell primary, and then they'll make another one inside. But it's not as common. So what is common is for things like this to hold, right? And so if we start seeing things like that, see how that broke up the structure above it? That's not really giving me confidence that this is actually going to be a sell primary. If it is, we're going to have to wait for this primary now to fully form and to break structure, which would mean playing off lower prices down here. So right now, I wouldn't be interested in this range at all for shorts, not one little bit. Even though it's threatening to be a sell primary, even though they've just taken liquidity from the high side, not interested in this trade whatsoever. And it's because of this range initiation, break of structure, and they've already come up over it, taking liquidity. So if this is going to hold as a primary, then we need to start initiating away. But instead, they're sort of holding price here, maybe pushing up a little bit. So it looks to me like we could be going up here. That's just my analysis. Now, of course, they could come down, take liquidity, and then come up. They're going to manipulate in and out and do however they need to move price. But suffice it to say, what else would we be looking at? We'd be looking at what do we mitigate? So as they've come up, what have we mitigated here? Is there anything of importance? Is this the sell primary? Did the primary range start from here? Is this how we conclude our sell primary? Potentially. So does that mitigation make sense? Maybe. It's just what they're doing right now that doesn't make sense to us. So for that reason, I'm not really interested in this trade right now. The one I would be most interested in would be up here, this range here as well, and then of course anything above. So in this little area, I'd be definitely interested. So basically, this whole area here is my massive area of interest, as well as this area up here. So we've got this whopping area of interest where we're looking for shorts anywhere in this area. So it's going to be kind of tricky, so you're going to have to play off of this in the best possible way. What would I do then? Well, I wouldn't be looking for these little slipstreams at all then, since we've got that many. And I'd also count this out as being looked at, because it is a point of interest only and is not a sell primary. Yes, we formed a sell primary, and that's what we should be playing off of. So now I can kind of narrow my my window of interest just down to really this area here. So that's what I would be thinking if I was still trading right now. I'd be looking at seeing what happens when we get into here. Do we get an initiation? Cool. Then we're in. Do we get an initiation from here? Cool. Then trade it. And if we don't, and if price pushes up and continues to push up, then there's no more trading for us at this point. We would be just sitting on our hands, and then want to be continually back and forth looking for our buy side drawings and seeing if we can create a primary, see if a primary has been created, and trade off of that. All right, guys, aloha. Hope everyone is crushing it, smashing it, doing their living their best lives, making a crap ton of money, all of the rest of it. I hope everything's working out for you guys. So aloha, love, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Got more fun videos to make. All right, peace out.